grade today is practice day. We're gonna set up value scales and then do a small sample of what our final project is gonna look like so you kind of get an idea of what to do. And it's practice, practice, practice. So we want to have at least 6 values. So on your paper, just like we did before, we are going to set up 6 rectangles. They do not have to be perfect. They should not be that large. You can see this one's about a little bit bigger than my thumb. And I want you to number them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And remember, our value scales need to go from lightest to darkest. We want to leave the white of the paper, especially for this project because we're going to have a significant amount of white. 6 should be the darkest, and remember that's when you're going to take your pencil and burnish with it. So you're pushing as absolutely hard as you can to get that as black as you can with that pencil. If you have those fancy pencils, this could be your 6B pencil. If you're just using a regular old number 2 or HB pencil like I am, then it's all about pushing harder with your pencil. So you want to practice getting that burnish down. It doesn't have to be perfect as long as the whole thing is nice and solid and super dark. Doing that helps create that lipstick edge on your pencil, which gives you a nice flatter surface for then you to go to the next value. If I go backwards, 5 is going to be darker, but not as dark as 6. And so I like to work in layers. So I'll cover it in a pretty basic layer first. But if I squinted this, you can see this needs to get even darker, kind of more like where the 2 pieces overlap. So I'm just gonna put another layer and overlap my value a little bit with my pencil to make this get darker. So it's dark, but not quite a burnish. 4 is going to be lighter than that. So I'm gonna take my pencil, and you can see there's something underneath the table where I am, must be some glue that I'm picking up on. So I wanna make sure that on final day that is not there. And then I can kind of go and get lighter and lighter each time. So 3 is going to be even lighter than 4. I like to kind of go in tiny little circles so I can keep the brush strokes, so to speak, or the pencil strokes in control. And 2, we want to make really light. So you're barely touching your pencil to the paper. So it's kind of like what I like to call the tickle touch. So you should have a gradation where it slowly changes. If these 2 values look too similar, you can always put another layer on, but chances are if you put that one and make that darker, you're gonna have to go through and darken all of them so that you have a big change from one to the next. Now to practice with our holes project, you can draw a circle or you can use something to trace a circle. And what I want you to do in this, you're just going to draw a series of weird ovals or circles and things like that. So watch what I do here. I'm gonna fill this with a circle and then put a circle inside of a circle and kind of put them to where it's overlapping a little bit, where maybe I'll put another one behind here and draw it so it's continuing on the other side, so that I'm getting these really cool like areas where it looks like this is like something sticking out on top of this. And then I'll do the same thing with like maybe another one. Maybe I'll have a third piece that comes back and gets layered behind. So it's almost like I'm stacking my ovals on top of each other. Having 2 or 3 stacks is good. And what I want you to do is leave your top paper a little bit white. And we're gonna pretend like this is underneath. So what I wanna do is, if this is the top paper, around my circle, it's going to be more of like my 2, because I'm trying to make this look like this is a shadow and that this is going deep down, like almost like someone put a hole in my paper. And then that's gonna fade out back into the plain white. So I'm going to shade that anywhere around the outside edge of my circle to make it look like it is shaded. Then the layer underneath of that is going to be a little bit darker. So I'm going to take this, and everywhere it's overlapping, use my pencil to shade. And then this whole layer down here is gonna get kind of like the base layer of a 2. And then anywhere where it looks like there's a shape on top of it, I just shade it a little bit darker to make it look like it's overlapping. So here's my 2 around the whole thing. And then because it's overlapping on this edge, I'm gonna make this more of a 3 or a 4 and fade that back out into my 2 so that I'm creating that illusion of depth. And then you would do the same thing with another layer that's underneath. So this layer would be like the next one. So maybe this would be even darker. So I'm going to start that one at more of a 3 or a 4. And then because this is sitting on top, right around that edge, it's going to get much darker. So that goes more into my 5, blend it back out into my 4, and I'm gonna do the same thing here. So I'm building up these layers, and I'm gonna keep doing this to create this illusion on my paper. So it starts to look like, instead of it just being a flat paper, it's going really deep almost. And then that very last layer is going to be pretty much the deepest, darkest spot. So I'm going to burnish almost with the whole thing. So I'm going to apply a 4 or 5 along all of these leftover spaces. And then burnish really heavily with that 6, anywhere where it's overlapping another piece. So it'll start to look like a nice, deep, dark space. So today is all about this practice of this skill, trying to make this illusion of depth. So it looks like it's stretching and going deeper and deeper and deeper into a black void, so to speak. It's pretty good practice.